Sefer Bamidbar begins with the census of the Jewish people being counted. It's not only the beginning of Bamidbar that's defined this way, but Bamidbar ends with another count of the Jewish people at the end of their time in the Midbar. And because of these two counts, Sefer Bamidbar is known as Sefer HaPikudim, the word that the Torah uses for counting the Jewish people. Farshim struggle to explain why the Jewish people are being counted again. They were counted already before in Sefer Shmot, which was not that long ago. The Rashbam and Rashi have two different explanations. The Rashbam explains that the Jewish people were about to set off to Eretz Yisrael, where they would need to fight wars. And we needed to know who the soldiers were, how many there were, who was a soldier. And that's what we find, that the count was counting people 20 and up, as the Torah describes, Kol Yotzei Tzava B'Yisrael. So Rashbam says they were counted in the beginning of the second month, because in the 20th of that month, they were going to be setting off. Rashi, though, has a different explanation. Rashi says that we find God counting the Jewish people at so many different intervals because He loved the Jewish people. And things you love, you count very often. Some people count money very often. Some people count their svarim. Some people count their family. God, His most beloved thing, was the Jewish people. God counted the Jewish people so many times because He loved to count the Jewish people, to paraphrase an image from our youth. The Ramban explains that this is why the count was so personal. We read in the text, in the Chumash, that the Jews had to be counted lemishpachotam, leveit avotam, b'mispar shemot, kol zachar legulgalotam. It was a head count. And the Ramban explains that Moshe was not allowed to go to the head of the Shevet or the head of a family and ask for the number. He personally had to interact with each person to show their significance. But I believe that in addition to showing the significance of counting each individual, the count has another dimension to it. And this dimension is symbolized by the first word of the tzivui for the count. Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael. What does it mean, se'u? To raise the head of the people. Literally, what it means is to make a person feel not only appreciated, but significant. To raise their head up. The goal of being counted is to make sure that we count, to make sure that we're significant. And of course, we all have the potential for great significance, but that potential can go in different directions. The Medrash refers to Sefer Bereshit, particularly the fate of the Sar HaMashkim and the Sar HaOfim, and notes that the word Yisa, in reference to the head, is used by both of them. First, in reference to the Sar HaMashkim, Yosef says, Ba'od shloshet yamim Yisa faro et roshcha ve'yishivcha al kanecha. Paro will raise your head back up and put you in your natural place working for him. Later on, when speaking to the Sar HaOfim, the same lashon is used. Ba'od shloshet yamim Yisa faro et roshcha me'alecha. Your head will be removed from you, in a very different connotation. In fact, the Medrash Rabbah says the raising of the head is like a person who tells the executioner to remove the head of the person. And the Medrash explains on this week's Parsha, She'im yisku ya'alu l'gdula. Im lo yisku yamutu kulam. And the significance of this is, if we don't matter, then we're not expected to make ourselves matter. But because we do matter, because we're counted, we either take ourselves in a positive direction, or chas v'shalom, deserve a terrible fate because we don't take advantage of our potential. And so I would say the lesson of Chumash HaPikudim, of being pakud, of having a responsibility, is that we need to make sure we fulfill our responsibility. When we're counted, the message to us is that we have to make sure we really count. Shabbat Shalom.